we're going to go out to the Mac Resource Computers hotline for our weekly conversation with former A&M DB Jordan Pugh. What's happening, Jordan?
What's going on, AP? I see you running the show today.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm just trying not to mess things up, keep things interesting. It's fun, though. It's fun. I'm not.
You're doing your thing. I'm not even mad at you.
Yeah, I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. Exactly. Yeah. Well, Austin Davis was just named the starting quarterback for the Browns on their Twitter account, and my topic of the day was before this announcement, and it was, do you think that the Browns should start Johnny now that McCown's injured? So what are your thoughts on that? And what's your reaction to this situation?
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Let's see here. What do I want to take on this one? All right, so as a player, okay, I'm speaking strictly from the player's viewpoint right now. Mm-hmm. As a player, I think you should start Johnny because he gives us the best chance to win. As a player, I think what Johnny does in his private life is what Johnny does, okay?
They knew that when they hired him. Or when
exactly.
They knew what his private life was like.
So as a player, you're kind of like, look, man, as long as it doesn't affect what you do on the field, I really don't care what you do.
Right.
So let's get that out the way. Now, from the viewpoint of the front office, I get it, you know what I mean, to a certain extent. But let's be real, this isn't the first time that somebody's, gone out and partied, especially on a bye week. This isn't the first time you've had a first-round guy do something crazy. I just think, me personally, I think you need to give him a chance. I think you need to give him he just needs to be the starter if he gives your team the best chance to win. So as a player in the locker room, I can tell you right now what they're thinking is, look, man, I don't care what he does. He's still here. He's still performing. Put him in, because I'm trying to win these games. Because if you don't win, that ultimately affects everybody on the team. Guys get cut, released, whatever it is. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint, I'm trying to win this game, put Johnny in.
Right. No, and I'm with you on that. I know why everybody's upset. He's an idiot. Right. He's made the same mistake time and time again. Right. But if you're not going to cut him, you punished him, he was humiliated, he was moved down to third string, he sat on that bench, looked upset. I know he always says the right things. Olin kind of referred to him as a con man, and I get that. I agree. But as an organization and as an organization that has some pretty upset fans, you just want to win at this point. And if you're going to keep him, you're going to pay him, you're going to let him sit there, why not give him a real shot? If you're giving him another chance, if he's getting another chance, let him play.
Well, exactly. You said it. You said it right there. You're talking about punishing. It's different because I'm speaking from a viewpoint as somebody who came from the locker room. And you're talking about punish him. He's a grown man, okay? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, they didn't punish Johnny because Johnny was still on the sideline. Johnny was still dressed out in his uniform.
The cameras were on him 50% of the time.
So, the fans were chanting his name. Was Johnny really embarrassed? Yes, to a certain extent, but there was no punishment. Right. At the end of the day, this is a business and it's a job. Now, I'm completely with you. I get why people are upset. I get why people are, frustrated with him because it's stupid. Come on, man.
It is.
You have the opportunity of a lifetime. Wake up. But at the same time, it's business. And, you want to win games. Mm-hmm. You have to win games, and that's the nature of the beast.
Right. And it's bad business to have a guy like that sitting on your bench. Cut him or play him. That's where I'm at with it. Especially once McCown goes down. Then it's like, okay, really? He did
right.
Ugh.
Exactly.
Whatever. Exactly. All right. Well, let's go away from that for a second and go into this fighting Texas Aggie football team that lost to LSU this past weekend. What the heck happened, Jordan? What stood out to you the most as the glaring problem? Obviously, we're going to talk about offense now. We have with everybody, but I just want to get your perspective on it.
Okay. Well, I didn't get to see the majority of the first half.
You're lucky. You didn't miss much.
I had a speaking engagement, so I was able to catch the second half, all right? So this is what I saw. Defensively, I think they played great. I think they played a great game on defense. They held them until the fourth quarter came, and they started pulling away at the end. But defensively, I thought they played well. Offensively, it seemed like it was one of those games where it was out of rhythm. And not out of rhythm as what we've been expecting, where they've been flopping. They just went against the defense that was playing extremely well. when you look at the game as a whole, the game was a defensive game. It was one of those games where it was point-for-point, match-for-match. You've got to understand that LSU, they match up well for some reason against us. Now, they had weaknesses in the secondary that I don't think we exposed. That's the one problem that I have with the game. But as a whole, I thought it was just one of those type games where it was just a tough slobber knocker. Defenses were playing well until LSU pulled off at the end. So my take on it is I think that there were still some good things on offense. I think Allen, he kind of fought his way out of a little slump. The defense played well. But as a whole, it was just some flow and chemistry problems. I think that's what happened in this game.
Yeah. Do you think that these flowing chemistry problems have anything to do with that Aggie offensive line? Because it was looking really rough the entire game.
The offensive line has been part of the weakness the whole season. Mm-hmm. They've been too inconsistent. But I think it has a lot to do with the inconsistencies just with the play calling. There's, like we said earlier all year, it's been no identity. There's been no run, no pass identity. There's nothing that you can hang your hat on. And for offensive linemen, they like to fire off. They like to know what they are. Are they pass blockers? Are they run blockers? What are they? And I think that's been a lot of the mistake going into this season. If we take this season into review, just the inconsistencies and no identity. Mm-hmm. And so when you go against LSU, LSU always has a great front. They have a great front seven like Alabama. And it just challenges the system. When you play teams like LSU, when you play teams like Alabama, you have to have some type of physical presence on offense. And that's what kills us against those teams. So I think that's what you saw on Saturday was you saw the team have no physical presence and there was no true identity.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on the identity and the inconsistency, and I think it's hard for an O-line to, you said it's such a big part for that unit to have identity and know who they are and know what they're supposed to do. But when you're rotating quarterbacks and schemes and just the play, and like you hit it on the head, the play calling and everything, how do they don't know what their identity is, and it's hard to come up with one when you're switching every moving piece of the puzzle so much.
See, this is what you got to, and this is what all the fans have to understand. They got to understand this. I know that everybody gets frustrated with, it seems like we just can't get over the hump. And so, me looking at it, it's frustrating as well. But when you look at it from a viewpoint of where a player comes from, his viewpoint, when you go in each day, when you go in each week, and it seems like it constantly changes, the scheme constantly changes, or the philosophy constantly changes, it's like, well, Coach, what do you want from me? Because then when the scheme and the concept changes, it changes how you think as a player. It changes your mentality, changes your thought process. You become a thinker instead of a reactor.
Right.
And so a lot of the problems with the offensive line, or just the offense, and we're just talking about them specifically, is there's so much inconsistency that you're thinking about what you're doing versus just playing. And I think that's a lot of the problem that goes on, is where if you don't have that identity, you don't have that same philosophy each week, it changes your mindset, and then it gets you to false step, gets you to think, gets you to overreact to certain things. So I think that's one of the biggest problems as well.
So who are you looking at then to fix this identity problem? Is it coming down to the OC? Is it on Spav? Are you looking at Coach Sumlin now and saying, you're the head of this snake, this is your team, and you need to rein it in and get control over what's happening? Because it seems to just kind of be falling apart underneath him. Who do you look at to fix these issues?
Well, you got to look at the head coach. You got to look at Sumlin. Sumlin's the tone setter. So, I mean, at the end of the day, your team has to know who they are. All right, so on defense, Chavis. Everybody knows what Chavis is. Chavis is a hard-nosed, tough-nosed guy. You know what I mean?
Games, plays no games.
So on defense, you see that. The defense hasn't been great against the run all year, but you see this defense getting turnovers, making stops. You saw them progress this year. That's what you want. On offense, when you look at the offense, you got to identify who you are. Are we going to be that finesse team that's going to throw this thing that's going to be pretty? Are we going to be this team that's physical and going to run it down your throat? When you play Alabama, you know exactly what you're getting against Alabama.
Right.
They're going to run it down your throat. They're going to be tough. They're going to have the playmakers on the outside, but you know what their identity is. When you play LSU, you know exactly what their identity is. When you play Texas A&M, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When you go in the game playing Texas A&M, it's okay, y'all, they're going to sling this ball around. They got a good runner in Trey Carson. We can hold him. We force them into the pass. Too many inconsistencies. There's no identity. There's no one thing that you can point at and say they're good at this. So I think that's where someone has to come in and be like, look, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. And this is what we're going to be great at. And then that sets the tone.
Yeah. What did you think about the defense as a whole coming out on fire? I mean, you really couldn't have asked any more from them. They were on the field so much and just dominating the entire time, held them to 3 field goals. But what did you think about the way they showed up and the way they played with fire? And I think a lot of that came from knowing how bad Coach Chavis wanted that win against LSU.
Well, when you look at the defense, I wasn't surprised at the defense. Because Chavis knows LSU. He knows Les Miles. He knows what he wants.
It's funny that the defense doesn't surprise us this season. You know, the offense is who would have thought Texas A&M would not be shocking. You wouldn't be shocked that they're playing good defense, but what the heck with their offense?
Exactly, man. You looking at the defense with A&M, you talking about them coming out on fire, man. It wasn't surprising because I figured they would do that. And when you look at LSU is a one-trick pony. You know, they're not really a passing team. If you can control the run, you can really control what they do. And when you look at holding them to 3 field goals, man, down in the red zone, I've been saying all year, I swear we have the best red zone defense in the country. but between those 20 and 20, that's where we were hurting. But when you look at it, man, the defense, they played well. They played inspired. I think for the first time, you saw a lot more energy out of them than you did all season long. You saw the confidence level, and you saw them not think as much. Towards the end of the game, at some point, something's got to give, okay? And when your offense isn't helping, your defense has to help you win those games. But then you just saw them kind of wear down at the end.
Yeah, and it didn't help that the offense couldn't do anything and help them out.
Exactly.
You know, they're just tired. It's at the end, it's like, what more do you want from me, you know?
Right. And so that's where you have to be some balance. There has to be some points scored. Even if you give me 3, I can live with that because I know that you guys are getting points up somewhere. So I think the defense at the end just wore down. Because it was one of those dog fights. They wore down, but I do have to say I was proud of the defense. Watching them.
So while we're talking about the defense, there's a few players I want to bring up with you. First, I want to bring up Brandon Williams. He's had some struggles. He's had his issues, but he also was transitioning to a new position this year. What do you think his future is looking ahead to the NFL playing either corner or safety?
Wow. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I think that he can have a bright future. There's just not a lot of tape on him. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing. When you look at 1 year, the potential is out of this world. But when you look at the 1 year, it doesn't give you enough to know if he's draftable or not. That's the only thing. Because within that 1 year, you really need him to stand out and just make plays all over the place.
Right.
But a lot of that, too, comes with opportunity as well. You know, he rotated a lot, in and out. He didn't get a lot of balls thrown his way, which is a good thing. But I think he could be a guy that you can pick up, late round free agent guy, but who can make a team because of his pure athleticism.
Right. Once he makes a team, or if he does make a team, which I'm assuming, I'm kind of with you. I don't think he's going to get drafted very high or anything like that, but be picked up as a free agent. How do you think he's going to perform? Do you think he's going to be ready for that move to the NFL, or do you think that him only really having one season in these positions is going to hold him back and limit him?
When you look at it, he can be ready because when you play the corner position, corner is about pure athleticism. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing. You can teach skill set once you get them to that position. So you have to be an athlete first. You got to be able to run. You got to be quick. You got to have good hands, good reaction skills. But from that, you can build a skill set to have him perform at an elite level. So I think that if you get him in there and he really hones in on his craft, I think he can not only make a team, he can play.
All right. Do you think, or I guess let me rephrase that, what do you think Devontae Harris's future looks like? He's had a really great year. He's made some huge plays. He's overall just very much improved from last season, and he's got that swag about him. He's got that attitude that we need to have. So what do you think his future looks like going into the NFL?
I think he has a bright future. I think Devontae is the type guy that he lives off of emotion. That's the best way I can put that.
He's very emotional.
But when you look at Devontae is the type guy he's another guy who really has to hone in his skill set. And see, people who don't play the positions, they don't understand what I'm talking about. When you talk about honing in a skill set, it's one thing to be athletic. It's one thing to run and cover. But when you look at the great guys, I'll put it this way. You have a Darrelle Revis, okay? Devontae Harris is more athletic than Darrelle Revis is. But Darrelle Revis is a great corner in the NFL. Why? Because Darrelle has a great skill set. You can eliminate a lot of receivers who are more athletic than you, who are faster than you, based on the skill set, your hands, your quickness, the way you take away routes, understanding stems, this and that. And I think if Devontae can get to that level, if he can understand what a receiver's trying to do to him, if he can pick out that weakness and exploit that weakness, Devontae can have a bright future in the NFL.
I agree with that. I think that if he holds on, like you said, that mentality and then just honing in those skills, I do think he could have a successful NFL career, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to watch that unfold. Yep. Bowl season's upon us. It's crazy that this season is wrapping up so quickly. It always flies by really fast, but especially this year, just all the craziness. But what do you remember as a player? This is kind of going to take you back a little bit, but what do you remember as a player being your favorite parts about the bowl season?
Man, the bowl gifts, of course.
The bowl gifts.
Man, what? Of course.
I didn't take you as a materialistic kind of guy. I thought you were going to be really emotional about it. Just being with my team and going to new cities and.
Man, whatever. Everybody loves the bowl.
Everybody loves a bowl gift.
Like, look, you're in college, all right? You don't have
anymore. Not anymore.
But I'm just saying, like, you're in college.
Yeah.
You don't have any money.
No.
You know what I mean? And then you mess around and you get these books. What? Of course.
And some of them are really cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to take that, man. But, of course, I'd say that the bowl game I remember the most, or what was the most fun, was when we played Penn State in the Alamo Bowl. That was probably hands down the most fun, most exciting game, because being down in San Antonio, the atmosphere, of course, felt like we were at home. Mm-hmm. But then Penn State has a crowd just like ours. So, they got a big fan base. It felt, well, of course it's a bowl game, but it felt like a huge game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The excitement around it, the way that the game panned out. And the stadium's just
insane. It's huge.
Right. And just having that extra game, having that time to, like you said, you're around your teammates. You're having fun, man. Bowl season is always fun. Bowl practice is terrible. Oh, bowl practice is terrible because it's like 2-a-days games. But
I don't know nothing about any 2-a-days.
Yeah, man. But bowl practice, I promise you, man. The players are like, all right, can we play an early bowl game, please?
Yeah, because they want to get it out of the way, right?
Yeah, but playing the game is always fun. It's always fun. It's almost like a new season. The way the fans are excited. So that's the stuff you enjoy the most.
Yeah, kind of wipe your slate clean and look ahead to next year. But if you lose, it's not wiping your slate clean. Right. It's going to leave a bitter taste. So what do you think? What do you think A&M's going to end up with as far as bowl position? And there's lots of talk about the possibility of playing Tech. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on that and how you feel about A&M possibly playing Tech in the Texas Bowl.
Wow. Well, yeah, I've been hearing about Texas Bowl's down in Houston, right? I've been hearing a lot about Houston. I think it would be good, man. Fun. The old Big 12 rivalry again. Oh, yeah. When you talk about Tech, I think it would be a matchup that favors us. If we play Texas Tech, I think it would be something where I honestly believe we would win the game handily.
Well, we'd like to think that, but I don't know about after this season. It's been pretty crazy. We could lose.
But see, you got to look at matchups. The teams that we've struggled against are the teams who have a great running game. When you look at Tech likes to sling it around like us. Here's the advantage, though, is Kingsbury is the head coach over there. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where they know each other. Now, that's their advantage, too, as well. But we have the team that matches up perfectly with what they like to do offensively.
We have the defense.
Exactly. We have the DBs who can run with their receivers. That's where Miles and Deshaun, they can get off because it's a passing team. Man, so I think we match up well offensively. It's been inconsistent, but you look at these bowl games, you look at the track record with Sumlin, we show out during bowl games. Mm-hmm. So offensively they score points. So to have that matchup against Tech, I would love to see it because I can't stand Texas Tech. There's nothing about Texas Tech I like.
Yeah.
And then to play them in the bowl game and you're back in the state of Texas, that'd be like a Super Bowl for us.
But it's almost like a lot of people are upset about it and don't want it because it's almost a lose-lose situation. Because if we beat Tech, yes, we win a bowl game. But if we beat Tech, it was Tech. We were supposed to beat them. But if we lose, we lost to Tech. We lost to a Big 12 school, a conference that we left running for the SEC. And that just adds a lot of fuel to the fire.
Well, this is what you can't look at it like a lose-lose. Here's why. When you look at it like a lose-lose, the whole season should be a loss for us. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at the potential that we had, when you look at all the stuff that we left on the table, playing in the Houston Bowl is like that should be down enough for us as it is. So it doesn't matter who that opponent is. It doesn't matter who they put in front of us. If win, lose, or draw, the season is still something that you should be proud of, yes, but it's something where you've left a lot of games, you've left a lot of potential championship runs on the table.
Yeah, this season set up perfectly for A&M. It was supposed to be, it's not going to get any easier.
Exactly. So that's where you can't look at the opponent, but what you can look at is what do they do in the bowl game? Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, let's be real, the bowl game means nothing. At the end of the day, because they're not playing for a championship, yeah, they get to win whatever bowl it is, but how do they go launching themselves into next season? That's the important thing, because now these sophomores and freshmen are becoming sophomores and juniors. So what does it look like for the future? And that's the biggest thing you can hold on to.
Right, definitely. One of the big topics that people have been talking about throughout the course of the season, really, but really it's really getting hot and heavy now, is the coaching carousel and just all the changes being made, people being fired. Les Miles, we talked a lot about it last week. I know I asked you a question, do you think Les is going to come out with a bunch of trick plays since he's, done for sure, he's fired, but then they didn't fire him. What are your thoughts on that? And what were you thinking when you heard after that game that, oh, nope, Les is still the coach, he's sticking around?
Man, I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. It's like, come on now. Because I felt bad for Les.
Yeah, me too. If I was Les, I would leave.
Yeah, but exactly, because I'm at the point like, well, if you don't want me, why am I here? I understand the biggest thing is they don't want to pay the buyout. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's business. I get it. But come on, man. If I'm Les, I'm looking for other jobs. Because based on what I do next year, it's going to be a whole nother scenario. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And, I think I heard somewhere they said they open up with maybe Wisconsin or whoever it is next year. And, it could be one of those things where ultimately I think LSU hurt themselves. Because now if I'm a recruit, I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm coming here. You know what I mean?
Because you don't even know what's going to happen. Talk about inconsistency.
Right. And so now you got a guy who was, I want to say he's the sixth winningest coach in college football. And he's how many national championships has he won at LSU? One for sure.
Ronnie, do you know that number?
I think it's just one.
Just one.
Okay, so he's won one.
But still.
You're right. He's got the number one recruiting class coming in.
Played the second one.
That's right. There you go. So played in 2, won 1. You got the number one recruiting class coming in. I mean, what more do you want from the guy?
All right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I don't get it. Even with Mark Richt in Georgia, it's like, come on.
I know, we'll take him.
It's like you're in the SEC, man. It's a dogfight every single year. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. It's kind of like, what's the coaching world coming to? Everybody wants it fast and quick and now, but they got to understand it takes time to build programs. Right.
What are your thoughts on the Spav situation? I know lots of people are calling for his head. I would say 90% of the fan base is calling for his head. And we touched on. I already asked you. The glaring problems on offense and the identity issues, and we talked about the coach Sumlin and things like that, but what would you do? Would you get rid of Spav or do you keep him for another season?
Wow, that's $1 million question, isn't it?
It really is.
Man,
no pun intended.
I don't know. Like, honest, I'm at that I don't know stage because something has to change. Because if something doesn't, Coach Sumlin's job is on the line next season. Exactly. Something has to change. And at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want to about Spav, and I think he's had some of the dumbest play calls I've ever seen. But you are a head coach. At some point, you have to take control over it. Yeah. So I think it's one of those things where if you're going to make a change, now's the time to do it.
But I don't think Coach Sumlin wants to take too much control. I think he likes being backing off a little bit and giving the play calling decisions and things like that to other people. He doesn't want that on him. But somebody else needs to be calling plays. That has been a glaring problem all season.
But here's the thing. This is where I disagree, because Sumlin has to take control, because at the end of the day, Sumlin is the coach, and Sumlin is truly the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. He's the manager of the program. And so when you talk about these plays, look, at the end of the day, he's allowing this stuff to happen. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He has the headset on just like everybody else does. And at some point, there has to be consistency. There has to be some type of identity that falls on the head coach. The D coordinator can give you an identity. The offense can give you an identity. But if that head coach doesn't set the precedent, it means nothing. So if you make a change, I get it. I get it now why you make a change. But I don't know. I don't know if it's Sumlin needs to change, or I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator. That's the one where I'm stuck on it right now. I'm debating that right now, so I just don't know.
So then that comes back to who? Then that comes back to the AD? Because if we're going to talk getting rid of Sumlin, then
I don't think.
He's not going to remove himself.
Right. There needs to be no talk of getting rid of Sumlin.
No.
Not at that.
No.
Yeah,
he gets another season.
That point. Right. Not at that point yet. But I think if he doesn't make a change somewhere, if he makes a change, that's good, because something needs to happen.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't make a change, you better see a vast improvement next year, or you're talking about someone losing his job possibly. So that's why I think the balance is kind of thrown off a little bit, where there has to be some type of sense of urgency on his part.
Mm-hmm. Well, good stuff, JP. I appreciate it, as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you.